Hey, fifth grade. So, as I'm sure you have heard, we are going to be continuing with distance learning for now on. So, it's a bummer that we're not going to be able to see each other until the fall, but we are going to continue learning some music. So, we're going to push forward into modern music. Now, just one little thing for some weeks in the future. Obviously, fifth grade, we go on to the middle school next year, so we're going to talk about a couple middle school things when we get towards the end of our quarter. All right, so modern music. We've been talking about modern music of what's happening in Europe at the beginning of the 20th century. We're getting this experimental music. We're getting stuff that I always like to say Impressionism looks like Impressionism painting. So think watercolors, very kind of mixed and everything's kind of slurred together. A lot of nature stuff going on too. In the United States, we heard the beginnings and birth of jazz and the blues, and we were hearing marches, and we're hearing kind of music that sounds old. Well, this was 120 years ago. Now we're going to shift forward just a little bit. There's weird stuff going on. So in 19 teens, I guess that's what we're going to call them, we get the First World War. So between the First World War and the Second World War, we get this next period of modern classical music. So there's a lot of stuff going on. 20th century had a lot of crazy stuff. So in between the world wars, we get what we call Neoclassicism. All right, big word meaning we had world wars. There was a lot of conflict. There's a lot of fighting going on. There's a lot of disease going on. People wanted to return to something that they were familiar with. So they returned back to an old style of music, classical music, but with a twist this time. So something a little bit different. But also, we're starting to see the beginnings of some very extreme modern music, meaning a lot of crunchy sounds going on. There's a lot of conflict in their music, which represents these world wars that we have. So we see a divergent path. We see returning to something old and familiar and comfortable, and then something that's chaos driven, something that's really reflective of all the fighting going on. So we're going to hear some listening examples from between the world wars that gives us our neoclassical period of modern music. Fancy stuff for today. All right, I will see you next week, fifth grade.